Welcome back, folks. Today's guest is comedian and filmmaker Bryan Torresdey. Bryan just made the move from New York out to Los Angeles. You can see him all over the city, or check out his hilarious reels on Instagram. Enjoy.
All right, we golden now?
Yeah. Well, you got a golden voice, dude.
Man, you know what? I just got complimented on my voice. It was actually really nice. It was actually a customer service representative. I was on the phone with them, and she just straight up out of nowhere, she's like, I really like your voice. I was like, thank you. I appreciate it.
What's your Instagram?
I know, right? No, it was actually kind of fun to hear. I was like, oh, wow. I never like practiced my voice or anything. You know how like some people like they actually take like speech classes or like for like voiceover work. Never considered that, but
You're just a natural, dude.
I guess so, man. I don't know. I just, naturally project. It's just part of me. But I appreciate that. Hopefully whoever's listening feels the same way. Maybe I could start doing like that Calm app stuff, like gently close your eyes and picture yourself in a lush forest. You ever do that, dude? You ever do like those
dude.
Calm app things?
I was just in a lush forest. Imagine.
Man, those things work.
Yeah.
I thought they were kind of full of shit, but it's like, especially when, it's like you're close your eyes and you wake up and now you're in a warm desert, but it's not warm enough. And like, they just keep describing it. And then before you know it, you're like, oh man, I'm feeling good now.
Yeah.
Those are nice. Those are fun.
The first time I ever meditated, it worked, and that's what like got me hooked. I was in a yoga class in college. It was like an extracurricular, and the professor at the end of the class, we all laid down on the floor, and she like talked us down.
Ooh.
And I've tripped before, I've done psychedelics, so like when I like came back to the reality of like a few minutes later, I was like, oh, I was gone.
Oh yeah, you were like really checked out.
Yeah, I was like, I wasn't asleep, but I was not here. I was like, that was crazy. Whatever just happened, like, whoa.
Dude, have you ever had an out of body experience, or like, have you ever like had it to where like, I've heard of a friend of mine told me where like he remembers one time sleeping and it was like sleep paralysis, but he remembers like floating over his own body and seeing himself. Whoa. And I actually did have an out of body experience.
Was it on stage?
No, I wish. I'd probably heckle myself. Like, who put this hack on stage? No, for me, it happened when I was young. This is kind of why, like, I believe in God. And a lot of people are like, why? And I'm like, because I saw my own body as a kid. So I had an accident when, do you remember, like, back in our day? Like, you're in your 30s, right? So,
yes.
Like, we're both millennials. Yep. We still got to experience unsafe, like, play structures growing up.
Absolutely.
So I remember, now kids are like, oh, I want to go on TikTok, or like, like back in the day, we had jungle gyms that had like chain link fence holding it together. There was like rocks. We still had McDonald's play places.
Tennis.
Like, they don't have that shit now. Did you know that they were tearing down McDonald's play places because kids don't play in them anymore? They just want to be on like an iPad or their phone, Yeah,
homeless people were just living in them.
Dude, I know. And I'm like, damn, we were the last generation to experience that. So I was on this play structure when I was in 3rd grade, and I remember we were playing hide and go seek, and I just remember like it was my turn to seek, as you do, and I was on top of the play structure, and as soon as I was done counting, I felt like there was a kid that was like hiding underneath the play structure, and I was on the top floor. Which, when you're a kid, it feels like it's 10 feet tall, but in reality, it's probably only like, like 3 feet, 4 feet off the ground. But I remember like leaning over, and then when I leaned over to look under, like I fell. Oh, damn. And I landed straight on my face.
Whoa.
Dude, I was straight up, immediately unconscious. But I remember I can see my own body as a kid.
Wow.
Yeah. So I remember I was like floating over my own body. And I saw like all my classmates like come over and run, and they're like yelling. They're like, Bryan fell. And the kids like gather. And I just remember the teacher trying to like pick me up. But I was like out.
Whoa.
And then I saw the nurse come and grab me. And I saw all of this happening.
From like third view, like
yes,
a bird's eye
yeah, it's almost
perspective?
like almost like you were a drone, like you had a
Wow.
drone watching yourself. You know how like people have those drones that have like those like readers that like follow them
Yeah.
when they're like hiking and stuff. So you can have a drone like just following you. That's
God,
what I felt.
That was God deciding, dude.
Dude, I know. And I was like, after that, I was like, all right, I definitely believe in an afterlife. There's definitely something there.
Something going on.
Well, like you said, like meditation kind of helps opens you up to that. That's straight up for me, dude. Also, talking about like, what's it called? Like a sleep demon that like molests you. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of sleep paralysis.
Have you heard of like those sleep demons?
I have not heard of any.
And they'll like
sleep
sexually
demons.
touch you.
Dang.
Have you ever had that?
No.
Dude, I've had that.
I think they call it a wet dream, dude.
No, no, I'm dead serious.
This wasn't as pleasurable.
I'm not joking, dude. It was one of the craziest experiences, and I thought I've had that. I talked to one other comic one time. He told me he had it, and dude,
sexual demon experience.
dude, yeah, where like you literally get like molested by
Oh my goodness.
a sleep demon, dude. You got to Google it. There's like a whole Reddit thread on it, and they're called like
a little lower, like right about here.
yeah, sorry. They're called like I don't know what the exact term is, but they're like the paralysis demons. They like lurk on you.
I've heard of sleep paralysis, but I've never heard of like.
Dude,
Do you
for
mind,
me,
like describing
it was wild. So
how-
I lived in this like little studio apartment in LA. It was like in North Hollywood, and that apartment, like they had refurbished it. It was like one of those places where like it was a bigger house, but then they turned the bigger house into like 3 smaller apartments.
Oh yeah, I lived in a few of those.
Yeah, of course, dude. So like it just didn't like the layout was kind of weird. So I remember I was sleeping one time. So like this apartment, like I would just hear like weird noises and stuff. One time I thought my neighbor was home and they were being loud, and I just like knocked and they wouldn't answer. I was like, what the? And then I remember like hearing somebody come up the stairs, and I was like, is he having more people over? And I go to open the door just to see. I'm like, let's see if somebody. And it was my neighbor coming home. I was like, dude, you haven't been home? He was like, no.
Did he get robbed?
No. I was like, dude, I swear I thought you were just home and everything. He was like, what? No. He's like, I've just got home today. So there was some weird stuff going on, and we were both kind of freaked out. And then I just remember like in this apartment one time I was sleeping, and it was one of those things where like you're sleeping but you're not kind of sleeping. And it was again like you're right in that sleep paralysis, like perfect little sweet spot. And I just remember that all of a sudden I just feel like my legs being moved.
Whoa.
Yes.
Apart.
Yes. I'm not joking, dude. And I just remember I was like, what the? And I kind of was like conscious but not really. And then all of a sudden, I feel like something started to like touch me, but it was subtle enough to where like you couldn't really like you don't know if it's real. I didn't know if I was dreaming or not, so it's just kind of strange. And then all of a sudden, I'm not joking, dude, I literally feel like my ass being grabbed. I'm not exaggerating. I feel my ass being grabbed. Then I start feeling like the other parts of me being grabbed.
Dang.
And I started to like feel a little weird.
Horny ghosts.
Dude, I'm telling you.
I believe you.
Yeah. And then I just remember like having this weird strange, and then finally I was in my mind, I was like, I need to wake up. I'm sleeping. I need to wake up. And I woke up, dude, and I'm not joking. One of my legs was like in the air when I woke up.
Wow.
Yes. And after that, I was like, dude, I think I was just molested by like a sleep paralysis demon.
Like, I'm never gonna sleep again.
I told another comic that, and he was like, dude, I had the same thing, except he told me like his was like the sleep paralysis demon had flipped him over.
Whoa.
And was just going to town on
I don't know how to. How do you even tell? Like, you tell a therapist
no,
about
he said that he
Like,
was like flipped over, dude. He's like, dude, whatever this was, dude, this thing was like tossing me. I was like,
sounded like he was being okay with it.
I think he wanted it. Yeah, I was like, I think it was just like an escort that he picked up. I don't know, dude. At this
he's
point,
just trying to just break you guys into coming out of the closet.
yeah.
He's like, hey, you know that story I told you about the ghost? That was a guy.
It's my boy. His name is Sleep. No, so I was like, man, there's some weird stuff out there, man. But you said you've had an out of body experience, right?
So, I honestly had one recently doing the podcast.
Wait, what?
When I did a podcast episode with Sean.
Oh wow.
He was telling a story, and he was so into it, and he's such a good actor that he was like the way he had me like transfixed, and then in my head, I was watching a podcast, and I had to like remind myself that I was sitting here in a podcast. Like,
Oh, okay.
I almost felt like sitting here, like I felt like I was watching TV. I like disattached
Oh, that's
from
cool.
reality, and I was like, this was like TV for me.
Yeah.
And then brain was like, you're in this.
And you're talking about Sean Lynch.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that guy, like, he can paint a story so well.
Yeah.
So I could totally see that. Like, that's just him being a good storyteller. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great way to, like, when you feel like you're watching something on, like, live.
Yeah.
Have you ever had, like, real shit happen to you where, like, your brain can't process it, whether it's real or not?
Nothing I can think of.
Like, something that's just so shocking.
Probably like we kind of referred to this earlier before we had our technical difficulty. When I was robbed in Mexico, I would say at first you're kind of like, this isn't happening.
Dude, yes, tell me that story because we just started getting to it, and
Yeah.
then you had the technical stuff.
So
let's just take two on this.
Yeah, it was me and my mom, my dad, and my sister. I have a younger sister. She was like probably 4 years old at the time. I
Wow.
was like 14, and my mom and dad were in a minivan in Mexico. It was like 2007, somewhere around there. 2006,
Okay.
2007.
Yeah, that was not a great time in Mexico.
And we were going to, I want to say Playa del Carmen, south of Cancun.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's like it's a small, for those who don't know, it's like Cancun is like the main city, which has like the airport and everything.
Mhm.
A lot of resorts there. But then Playa del Carmen at that time too was like more of like a local spot before it got really like revamped. Now it's basically like Cancun Part 2.
So we were there kind of probably in the middle.
Yeah. Oh, so you're on that highway between the two
we were on the
towns.
highway. And they got the ropes, like for the speed bump. It's just a big thick rope.
Oh,
and
yes.
So there was like a police station, like a booth, like a checkpoint next to this big rope, and there was 4 police officers. They're kitted out. They got their vests on. They got their guns. They got helmets, and they just see the gringo family in the minivan, and they just like flagged us over, just like that. They just waved us over.
Shit.
And my dad's like, "Shit, here we go." And
Like they were wearing like the full
Yeah.
like I think they call them the federale like.
yeah, that like a flak vest. They had an armored vest on. They had helmets. They had guns.
Did they have the M16s like
Yeah.
the assault rifle?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they said it was because we weren't wearing seatbelts. I remember they waved us over. They went seatbelt, seatbelt, seatbelt.
Was it true though or no?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we had them on. I don't know. I can't recall.
Okay.
We probably didn't. And I know, like, I'll say like my parents didn't, and then my sister and I probably did.
Oh, I see.
And then, but that was their reasoning. But
Yes.
if you've been to Mexico, people are hanging out of the back of pickup trucks, and people
Oh
are
my
driving
God,
like crazy.
dude, of course,
And
man.
so the seatbelt was bullshit.
There's
It's
people
'cause we're-
napping on the truck bed as it's
Exactly.
going down the highway.
So it's like, okay, white family coming from the airport, pockets full
Oh
of cash, ready
yes.
to,
They just saw you as like a piggy bank, man.
And that's what happened. We were in Mexico like 30 minutes when that happened.
Oh, God.
My dad wanted to turn around and get back on a plane and leave. He's like, we're going to leave now.
Dude, but tell me, so they didn't point the guns?
They didn't point the guns, but they held them. And the guy, so a guy came to the driver's side, and he was saying this stuff to my dad. He's going, ticket, ticket, ticket. He's like, no seatbelt, no seatbelt, no seatbelt. And then he's like, we need to go to the police station to resolve this. And my dad's like, no. And then so they're on both sides of us. And the guy on the passenger side was like kind of holding his gun, but he wasn't pointing or anything. He was just being intimidating. And then the cop was like, we're going to go down to the police station. We need to, talk about this. And my dad's, again, he's like, no, because in his mind, they're going to separate us. And it's like me and my sister were kids. So he's like,
Yeah.
we are not going to do that. And the cop's like, oh, what do you mean? And he's like, listen. He goes, how much? And the cop's like, and then my dad pulls out his wallet. And like I said, we just came from the airport, so he's got hundreds of USDs right here.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
And he's like, how much for us to leave? And the guy's like, no. He's like, it's not like that. He's like, we need to go to the police station. We need to go to the police station. And my dad's like, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, that's smart.
And then the passenger kind of like said something to my dad, like we are going to do that. And then my mom freaked out. She played the card. She did it on purpose, but she threw a full like panic attack meltdown, like, I don't know why you're doing this to us. Like we are. And then they were like, whoa.
Yeah, that made them freak out.
Yeah, they freaked out. So then they pulled back and they had a little powwow, and then one of them came over and was like, what do you want to give us? And then my dad gave him like probably $300 or $400 in cash.
That's not bad.
And then they were just like,
That's a good score for them.
yeah. They let us off. They were like, all right, see ya.
Okay, good. Okay, so I thought it was
Sorry.
No, that's fucked up.
Sorry, it wasn't more intense.
No. That's fucked up. Obviously, your dad was smart not to go to a second location.
Yeah, my dad's gangster.
Yeah, so he definitely has like that sixth sense of like.
Yeah, he's a Marine world traveler. He knows what's up.
Yeah, exactly. So, I've had it to where I've had friends that have been basically it's extortion. I mean, it's something that's common with tourists. It's not that bad anymore. At that time, dude, Mexico during that like early 2000s was going through a complete shakeup. Yeah. They had one president. His name was Calderon. He declared war on the cartels, which was terrible. It was like the biggest bloodbath. I think up until recently, like that was probably the worst year. They had like I think like 40,000 murders. Damn. That were unsolved.
Now
so it's like,
right?
Dude, you're talking about like essentially more casualties than the Iraq War. That's what they said.
Wait, far beyond.
Yeah. So during that time, there was a whole shakeup with like the cops, the military, everything. They were all kind of under their payroll. So it was like a free for all. So there was no checks and balances. Now, the tourist spots are really well protected, especially because, you know why? The cartels are huge investors in the resorts. So they don't want tourists to be scared to go to Mexico.
They launder their money through them, right?
They launder the money through them. And like you're talking about like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Have you seen the video of the two it's like a gay couple that gets
Oh my god, I posted that on my Instagram.
Oh, that one's too funny.
Dude, yeah, it's like you had two like the most. And here's the thing, like I've met enough gay people to where I'm like they're not that stereotype of like how they were like in the 80s and 90s, but there are still gay guys that are that stereotype. Yes. You know what I mean? Like as a Mexican person, they're like, we don't all talk like this. You know what I mean? What's up, Holmes? Like, you know, or like, senor, you know. But there are some that do.
None of that sounded different to me.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you're like, you just sound like Bryan to me. You know, what if I actually did sound like that? But I didn't know, and then I go back and listen to the podcast. I'm like, wait, who's this? I'm like, you put like a voice filter on? I'm like, no, that's just how you sound to every white person, like, senor. But yeah, those two gay guys, and I think the backstory on that is these guys were trying to take like a dirt road shortcut, which you don't ever do in Mexico, and especially in the Yucatan Valley because they grow a lot of drugs out there. So they're very protective.
And avocados.
Yeah, the avocado's the front, obviously. So, yeah, these two gay guys, you guys got to look up the video. It's actually on my Instagram, but you guys can find it. They drive through, and all of a sudden, they encounter a cartel checkpoint. Oh, no, their tail.
They get, like, ran up on.
Yes.
They're in territory they're not supposed to be. And the cartel guys just assume it's the ops or something, right? So,
yes.
Like, who would be down here?
Yeah, exactly. So they get pulled over, and then they quickly realize that it's just like two gay queens who are scared, and they literally are like, "Oh my god, please don't!" And then one of my favorite parts is like during that video, like the guy tries to like speak Spanish. He's like, mi abuela vive aquí," and then after a while, the cartel members are starting to laugh at their reaction, and there's a great line where he's like, "Tranquilo, güero," where it's like, "Calm down, man." I think they just realized they're like, oh, okay, it's not the opposition, and now this is just funny.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
which
is
to
relax.
We're not
in a gunfight.
Dude, but it's a great video. And then, but I remember those guys. They got interviewed on like NBC or like ABC News, and they were like, it was scary. They had guns and everything. I'm like, dude, that's just part of life down there.
Yeah.
But what happened to you, man? I had a friend tell me another story where it was her and a couple of friends, and they were in Cabo. And it was the same thing. They got pulled over, but her friend was kind of buzzed driving. But you know what they made them do? He gave them all the cash they had, and they said, that's not enough. So they drove him to an ATM, and then they pulled out like $800. So I think total, they had spent like $1,500 to get these cops off their back. Because they're like, we can throw you in jail. You're technically drunk.
They do that. They do it in Thailand, too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they shake people down. Drugs are wicked strict over there. They've legalized weed recently, but they're still strict about other things. But prior to that, weed was super illegal. and if they smelt you like smoking it, they would grab you and like search you and everything.
Oh, and over there, it's like there's no like, First Amendment or like what's what is it? The Fifth Amendment or fourth? No, it's the Fourth Amendment, where like the right to like seizure, like you have
search and seizure,
seizure
warrant or something.
But over there, it's like
no, the police are the judge, juror, and execution, just like in most third world countries. So
yeah,
if they will decide how they want to do what they want to do with you.
Did that ever happen to you, dude?
No, again, world traveler, smart, kind of aware. Try to stay out of sticky situations.
Did you have friends that like?
Yeah,
because I feel like Thailand's honestly, I'm kind of more scared to get in trouble in like Asian countries.
Yeah, it's true.
Because then it's like midnight cowboy.
Yeah. So this is what happens. I had a friend who had he had Molly.
Yeah.
And he was at a police checkpoint. Same thing. They pull the taxis over and they'll go through all of your stuff as a tourist. And so he had this little baggie of Molly, and he ate all of it to not get caught with it. But the police found the bag and they tested it for cocaine, but it didn't come up because it was Molly.
Thank God.
And then they were like, we don't know what this is, but we know it's something, so you're still in trouble. And
even with like a bag with like residue on it?
Yeah.
Dude.
So they were like, we're going to charge you and you're going to go to prison for 10 years, or you give us $2,000.
$2,000?
Yeah. And so here's the thing.
And how much is that in Thailand? Is that like a year's salary?
No, it's still not. I mean, I would say it's comparable to like most. It's like Mexico, like where like a police salary is probably $20,000 a year or something less.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's essentially what they would earn in like maybe 6 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So it's something like that.
That's a bad shakedown.
What they do is they take your passport and they make you call your bank, because you can't hit the ATM at once. You can't take $2,000 at once.
No, you cannot.
So they hold your passport and you go back over a few day period. They bleed you out. You go to the airport or they go to the police station, take money out at the ATM.
Damn.
My friend was telling me there's people in line like DUIs, fights, drug possession. Just instead of going to jail, they just
same thing with like escorts and stuff too, right?
They're not. They don't care about that.
They don't care about that. Okay.
Those girls are everywhere.
I had a friend that was robbed by an escort in South America.
Oh yeah, that's common everywhere.
And he didn't know it was an escort. He was at a bar.
Well, that's silly on his part.
Yeah, and I'm like, come on, dude. You have no game, But all of a sudden, you get to a bar in Colombia, and now you have game. But yeah, he had it to where he was talking to this girl. He was like, oh yeah, she was local, I was just there. And then he says that he was keeping an eye on his drink, so he was a little bit savvier. He wasn't being crazy or anything. But then he remembers that while they were talking, she pulled out some perfume and sprayed it near him, around her. And he feels like that's where it happened.
It's got a name. They viced a piece on it. I can't think of what it's called.
Yes.
But you can, and then you can make somebody go. You can go up to someone and go, "Hey, take all the money out of your ATM," and they will do it.
So he just remembers that happening.
Yeah.
And then he blacked out. And then when he woke up, he was back in his hotel room. His wallet was just emptied. Watch was gone. Everything. And then he called his bank just to see cancel the cards, and they're like, yeah, you had a withdrawal of this much amount.
Cancel what? There's
so I think they took like $3,600. I think that's what they did. And then he canceled all his credit cards, but it was literally that. And he was like, I felt bad because he's not the kind of guy to look for you have some friends that are dirt bags and stuff. They're like, yeah, I want to go to the massage parlors and all that. He was a straight laced dude. He just thought he was just talking to a girl while he was there.
He got duped.
And he got scammed, man. But yeah, the Mexico stuff now, like I said, it's not as bad as it used to be, but you gotta keep your guard up.
For sure.
I've had friends that have been robbed by taxi drivers.
I call them soft targets.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is those predators are looking for prey. So if you can be aware and present yourself in a way that doesn't look like you're a soft target, you're going to have a better chance of.
But it happens anywhere, man. I see people in New York get scammed too. It's all about those kind of hustles where it's people will just try to bring you in. I mean, even for comedy shows, they'll be like, oh yeah, Tina Fey performs here. I'm like, she's not a comic, dude. And people were paying $30 on Times Square to these dead hole comedy clubs. So it's it's not a shakedown or an extortion, but in a way it kind of is. You are kind of getting shaken down, man.
I was stationed in Tokyo, and there's a party district there called Roppongi, and there's a lot of Nigerian and African club promoters there.
Oh, really?
And they would it's kind of commonplace for them to also like bring you kind of thing. They like, oh, there's a bunch of girls inside. You can get a free drink. Come inside. Come to our club.
Yes.
And then you go in the club, and then they would drug you and rob you.
Really, right there in Japan?
Yeah, in Japan.
I thought they were more strict about that there.
Just sometimes
they can get away with it, right?
So it was like part of your safety briefing when you first got there. They were like, hey, stay away from this area, stay away from these clubs, watch out for these people. But here's what they did: your military ID is considered like it's a very valuable piece of information. So like if a foreigner has that, like they're gonna the police are gonna go get it. Like Office of Special Investigations is gonna go retrieve that.
Yeah.
So
because they don't want that replicated or duplicated.
When these guys would drug people and rob them, they would leave you your ID card and enough money to like get home. So guys would come to you, they'd stand you on the side, like in an alleyway. They'd wake up like the next morning.
Shit.
And they'd have no phone, no wallet, no nothing, but they'd have their ID and like $20.
Because they knew like that would be enough to like not have the heat come down on them.
Exactly.
Dude, no, that's crazy. Did that happen to any of your buddies?
No, thankfully it didn't.
Gosh,
I'd say it was like an older thing that they told us like be aware of.
So like you have to be pretty stupid to like fall for that after they tell you.
Yeah. But there's a lot of dummies. I mean, there's plenty of people.
Oh, of course. No, there's definitely dummies, man. I mean, it's like there's enough people who fall for it. Like I said, you gotta just be a little bit savvy. But there's some people that like they'll just slip and fall right into it. Dude, it happens in Vegas too.
Yeah.
Like,
because you think those people are pros too. Like that's their job is to
100%. Yeah, I mean, like that's like a whole hustle culture, dude. I remember I went to Paris last year, and they have signs up to like look out for pickpocketers. It's like such a big thing, where it's like in New York, trying to pickpocket someone, like it's kind of risky now.
Yeah.
Because other people kind of call it out, look for it. But in Paris, people are quieter. Like in New York, is like, hey, that guy's trying to rob you. You know, it's like in Paris, they're a little bit more quiet. So like one thing they told us, I kind of did like some research. You know, I went on Reddit, like what stuff to look out for and stuff, just because you want to be aware.
Yeah, exactly. That's
so like I went on Reddit and it was like what to look out for in Paris, like certain scams, things like that. So one of the ones was like, there's going to be a lot of people that come up to you to like donate for charities and stuff. And they do that because they see how much money you have, and then they won't rob you, but then they show that information and your description to someone else. And guess what? A lot of times it's like women that do it. So a lot of women will rob you over there. So like you'll get pickpocketed by a woman because you won't assume it, or an older lady too. And then they'll pass your wallet off to someone else. So if a cop does get to them, they'll never have it. They like relay it. So it's like a full like 5-person hustle. So I remember I was walking in the park near the Eiffel Tower, and all of a sudden I just see like a lot of people with like, oh, this is a charity, and it's like it's to help, you know, blind kids in like, you know, Nigeria or whatever. And then they come in and they're like, they show you that they have money, so like it pretends that other people don't, but then you never do it. So I was like, no, I was like, stay away. And then finally I was like, I'm not going to donate anything. And I was like, I'm not going to let you rob me. And they're like, whoa, no, we don't rob. And I'm like, dude, just get away. But dude, they're aggressive out there. I didn't know it was that bad. I think the worst bomb I ever had was there used to be like a black comedy club in LA called the J Spot. And it was like, it wasn't a black room. It was like urban, like this is how ghetto it was. All right. And I can say that I'm Mexican. They had metal detectors when you would walk in, and then their security guard would wand you.
Shit.
So like it was like you ever go to like a nightclub and you could tell by how thorough the security is. They're like, oh, this place is ratchet as fuck. Yes. That's exactly what this place was.
You're like, let me tell some jokes here.
I mean, the good thing is they would pay cash right after the show. And the crowds were so different, dude. Like, I don't know about you, but I've even heard this from like other black comics. They're like, dude, the toughest crowds are like older black people, like in their 50s.
Interesting.
Something about it. I've even had black comic friends tell me, they're like, bro, I hate performing in front of old black people because they're so judgmental, dude.
What do they find funny?
They love nostalgia. So like, y'all remember when we were kids, our mama would beat our ass? Like, you know, like stuff like that. They love the nostalgia. And I didn't know that. I was such a new comic at the time. I had done a couple like road gigs, and I was kind of feeling myself, and especially with like riffing, and I remember at this club, like it was such a like pro-black room, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just meant like that before the show even started, they had like they basically did. I'm not joking. They showed an entire like super cut. Like they had edited because they had a big screen behind the like where the stage is. They had a big screen, and they started playing a video, and it was like a super pro black video, which is fine outside of comedy. But it was like they were showing like clips of like Martin Luther King, and then they started like showing stuff. This was like close
Black
to like
Panthers marching.
yeah, no, seriously. And then it was like NWA playing, so it was like I was like, what is this? I was so confused at the time. I'm like, this is how they start, and that was like a video they played before the show, and it even started to include like footage because at the time there was like that whole Trayvon Martin controversy, or it was like just removed like a few years from that. So they started playing like clips of that and like protests and like all this stuff, and I was like, this is, and I was the only non-black comic on the lineup, and I just remember thinking, I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna do well tonight. So what made it even worse is that the host was like, his whole thing was just like making fun of people, like he was just roasting people, and he was good at it. And he was like, I mean, he went up and he started to light the room up, but he'd be like, what's your name, man? And I was like, oh, my name is Brian. And he's like, all right, Brian, where are you from? I was like, well, I'm originally from San Antonio, from Texas. And he's like, all right, man. He's like, I'm going to go up and then I'm going to bring you up. I was like, okay, cool. So then he's doing this whole thing. And then with black comics too, dude, is like the old school ones, like they want to hype you up to the audience. Like white comics don't do that. They're not like, hey, dude, I'm going to like help, build you up to be like this big star. They're just like, give it up for your next.
How do you say your last name?
Yeah. Give it up for this next comic. Oh, Bryan Torresdey, But this dude, so like he does his set, he kills, right? Then he's like, man, this next cat rolling up all the way from Sacramento. I was like, oh, he's like, oh, I guess this is a different comic. I guess maybe I'm getting bumped. He's like, man, this dude was on Comedy Central. He's up and coming. He's young. He's like doing all this stuff. And like, he's about to drop his first HBO special. And I'm like, dude, who is this comic? I started looking around. I'm like, who is this comic, dude? And he's like, man, I'm telling you, man, this kid's going to be the future. He's going to bust open, man. Like, this dude is just killing it right now, blah, blah. And he just kept going. I was like, wow.
Are you?
Yeah, I was like, damn, dude, this is dope. I was like, which comic is this? It's like, he's like, keep it going for my man, Antonio. And I'm just there. I'm like, Antonio? I'm just like looking around. And then he like locks eyes with me off stage and he's like, come on. And he starts waving me over. I was like, oh shit, that's me? I'm Antonio?
It's like, you're this whole new thing.
So what happened is I told him San Antonio, and I guess he forgot during the intro. So he just remembers Antonio from San Antonio. I guess because I look Latin. Oh, I am Latin. He just thought my name was Antonio, but the city he said I was from was Sacramento.
He's all over the place.
So he was like everywhere, dude. And
did you go with it?
I mean, I had to. And I go on stage, and at the time now, like, I would know how to handle that. Like, I would talk about, like, no, I'm not doing anything on HBO. I was like, I don't even have HBO on my TV. Like, like, I could have, like, prayed off that. Yeah. But at the time.
And I'm not Antonio.
Yeah, exactly.
Killed, like, pulling all back.
So then I did.
You were Antonio.
He brings me up, and I'm like, now I'm Antonio. And I'm too intimidated to correct anyone. I was, like, in my I think I was, like, 23 at the time or 24. And so I was scared. I was nervous. And then I tried to riff off of that civil rights footage video. And it just, dude, I just immediately was bombing.
Oh.
Like, not only was I bombing, I was like negatively bombing.
Just digging deeper and deeper.
Deeper and deeper. And the thing at this club is you have to do your full set to get paid. Like, you can't get off early. You got to just, if you're eating it, you're eating it.
I'm pro getting off early.
So then I'm eating it. And I'm scheduled to do 12 minutes. And I'm eating it at like 30 seconds in. Immediately. This crowd fucking hated me, dude. And I was just like fighting through it. And then every joke I was going for was just bombing. And then finally I do this one joke. And then there's this larger black woman in front of me. And she just goes, nah. Like that, just straight up, nah. And I was like, what?
Like, oh, I can feel my
She's
soul
like,
leaving.
this ain't funny. I was like, oh man. And I didn't know how to respond at the time.
Yeah, like, thank you for your input.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, you don't think I know that? Like, I'm telling you, like, even now, that was a better riff than what I said at the time. I was like trying to win them back. I was like, well, what about this next one? And then I do it, and they got no laughs. So it was just like worse. And then finally, they lit me, and I was like, thank God, I'm here. I was ready to get off. And go put a gun in my mouth. And then the host comes on, and then the host just starts trashing everything I just said.
Damn.
And he's like, he immediately starts crushing, which is even worse.
Yes.
There's nothing worse than when you're bombing, and then the next person does way better, because then you just realize you're like, oh, they were ready to laugh.
Yeah.
But just not at me.
That was me at the open mic last week too, dude. I felt real stupid after. I was like, "What are you guys tired?"
Oh, I mean, but open mic is fine, dude.
Yeah.
You're fine. It's when you're like doing a show.
Yeah.
And then I remember the
It's
dude,
just
like,
flat.
I go up to like get paid and everything, and he's just like, like the guy, the booker or the manager was just like,
Just delete your number.
basically
in
he's
front
like,
of
you're never performing here again. And then he like hands me my money, which was like, I think it was like $40 cash. It was like, but he just handed it to me. He literally was just like, here. And he didn't look at me when he handed it to me. He was just like, here, get out. And I remember I like went back to my car, and I literally was just like hitting the steering wheel. I was like, ugh. But dude, that was like such a horrific bomb.
Yeah, that's tough.
And you're like, you got to just take that and try to get on stage again. But that was like,
You had it kind of early. That's a good feeling to have. I guess you know it's there. It's like good to know it's there, right?
Oh, dude, yeah, but it totally shook my confidence. It's hard, man. It's hard to keep like a positive confidence sometimes.
Yeah.
In anything you're doing like this, dude. Especially when it like requires like so much like instant feedback from other people. Like,
and it doesn't work half the time.
Dude. I mean, it's the only thing that like you have to work out in front of people.
Yeah.
So like anybody else can work out privately and then present their like
their masterpiece.
A musician can go into like a studio booth and like record songs and iron them out and tune them and everything and then perform them live. Or like an artist, painter, sculptor, it's the same thing. But yeah, comedy it'll kick your ass, man.
Yeah. You got to do it in front of a bunch of people first that don't like it, and then eventually people like it.
Yeah. Dude, I know. I used to box, and I started doing comedy afterwards, and I was like, fucking comedy hurts more, dude.
I boxed as well when I was younger.
Mm-hmm. What weight class, dude?
I don't know, just learning. I never like competed or anything crazy.
Was
like
your
that.
pops a boxer or what?
No, my dad's really into martial arts. He was in the Marines. He's done all kinds of stuff across the board. Like he's done karate, he's done boxing, he's done like different.
Do you ever practice on you, dude?
All the time. Yeah, I was pretty much his test dummy. Like he'd come home and he'd be like, "Hey, let me show you what I learned today." So like I've got like an array of moves, but I've never like had the discipline to stick to a specific form.
Yeah. So you just like try that shit out.
But I like I like the simplicity of boxing. I was like 10. I did from like 10 to 12.
Okay, well that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But you actually were in the ring and like doing like amateur.
Yeah, I did.
amateur
I did a
bouts?
few like amateur fights and everything. I didn't really go too far because I was like, I knew I didn't want to have it as a career. I
You
just
wanted to punch
enjoyed it.
drunk?
Yeah, dude. I have friends that are like pro fighters and stuff, and I'm like, dude, that lifestyle is insane.
Yeah.
Because it's like everything. Like you there's really no time off. Like you have to be in it. And I like it though, because it really does like help you kind of like be a little bit more savvier. I think it's also like, good self-defense.
For sure. Yeah, having the confidence to know that you're going to like be okay in situations. Or
Yeah.
at least think you're going to be okay.
Oh yeah, dude. Because you can. I had something happen to me last year with a friend of mine in New York City. This guy, we're on the subway, and like it was a friend of mine. It was during the day. We were like at this like we got done doing like this like rehearsal for our acting studio, and then we jump on the subway. And the thing is, dude, is like the New York City subway, like, we talked about like being savvy, like in different countries and shit, like knowing what could happen. Dude, there was just that whole period last year where like the subways were getting dangerous.
Every
again.
country was on the subway.
Bro, there was a stretch in New York in like 2023 that like I think there was like once a week there was like a stabbing, there was even a shooting, there was like a bomb that went off. Like it was like crazy again. There was like a huge spike in crime just right after COVID. It's just like kind of like the floodgates were open, and I guess people were like didn't know how to control themselves. So I encountered that firsthand. I was on a subway train. Me and my friend were having a conversation. My friend said something funny. I laugh, and then this dude like looks at me, and then he's like, you don't need to be laughing like that. That's too extra. I was like, and I just kind of ignored him. And then I looked at my friend, and I kind of gave her a funny look. I'm like, this guy's out of his mind. Because like you just ignore crazy out there. Yes. It's everywhere, so you just ignore it. And then when she smiled, he like got up, and then he's like, no. He was like, well, you're making fun of me, blah blah blah. And I was like, dude, you got to back off. And then he thought, I guess he thought we were a couple, right? And then he starts saying stuff to her, like, how about I knock you out, your boyfriend out in front of you, blah, blah, blah. And then finally, like, he starts getting closer to her. So I was like, I have to step in. So I literally, like, pry myself in between. I was like, dude, you got to just please. And I took, like, like, you got to take, like, a stance. An
aggressive posture.
Yeah.
And you're saying please. That's when.
Well, I was like, because in my mind, I was like, I didn't want anything to happen. Like, you try to de-escalate, and that's the one thing. Is like when you learn to fight, like, you know where it can go. So like, you're trying to de-escalate.
Absolutely.
Especially with like
goosebumps right now, dude.
Dude, especially because like somebody could have a knife. Especially because this guy, he was purposely trying to start something.
Yes.
So in my mind, I already know. I'm like, someone who's purposely trying to start something. They know they have something. They usually have a weapon on them, and people get stabbed all the time in the subway.
And you don't know it till after the fact.
It's not yes, dude. Stabbing is like all of a sudden, like you just see a blade, you get into a scuffle, and then before you know it, you're just bleeding out. Yep. So it happens that quick. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make sure this dude needs. So when I stand up to get in between them, dude, I just smelled like a wave of just alcohol. Like this dude was clearly drunk. So I literally just stand between, get in between. I get into like a posture. He starts to like bark even more, like wanting to fight. I grab her, and then luckily the train had stopped. I was like, let's just get off the subway train. Boom. And in New York, nobody steps in, bro. Mm-hmm. So it's like everyone's just watching. I turn around, people are recording on their phones. That's fucked up. Oh yeah, I mean it's like, what do you expect? That's what everyone does.
But you also don't want to also be stabbed.
No.
So it's kind of like.
So we got off on the train stop. I walked her. I was like, are you good? And she was like kind of shaking, and she was like, yeah. She's like, I'm sorry you had to do that. And I'm like, no, it's fine. It's tough that she had to go through that.
Yeah.
And she was like, I've lived in New York for 8 years. I've never had that happen before. And I'm like, this is crazy. So I see some cops on that stop. I warned them about them. They were like, okay.
What?
Yeah, they put on an APB.
I'll pretend they're playing on their phone like they don't care.
Yeah, exactly. So I warned them, and then I get on the next train that comes on, jump back on, and then at the next stop, this dude had gotten off, and now he was starting to fight with someone else.
Shit.
And I was like, dude, that's him. I told the MTA person, I'm like, that guy's trying to like start something. So then that happens. And then a week later, dude, there was that news story that broke out where that guy who was an ex-Marine, do you know what I'm talking about?
He killed him, right?
Yeah. Basically, some guy was starting stuff on the train. Apparently, he like threatened a couple people, and this dude just got him in a rear naked choke to contain him. Mm-hmm. And I guess like the guy had a stroke while that happened, because he was like a drug user and all this stuff. But then that guy got arrested, dude.
Yeah.
Which is so fucked up. Like, how is it that in a society where like clearly there's security cameras, clearly there was eyewitness testimony, and they wanted to turn it into like this big old story of like this guy attacked him, and unfortunately it boils down to like the race of each person.
Yeah.
Like the dude who was being aggressive was black, right? And then the guy the Marine, came in to protect everyone, to like hold him down. His goal was just to detain him and hold him until the cops arrived. He didn't know the guy was going to have a stroke or something. So yeah, now that guy got arrested, and now he's like going into a court. It's like a big case in New York.
It's a faulty system. It's completely
corrupt
and backwards.
And they've started to release all the body cam footage. And like you have eyewitness testimony, like, yeah, that guy was like, he went up to women and being like, I'll go to prison again. Like he was saying like he had done time for hitting innocent people. And he was threatening people again. So this dude naturally like stepped in because, dude, you can only tolerate so much.
Exactly.
And
especially if you're trained and comfortable and confident you can resolve a situation like that.
Yeah, that guy was like and he was a
so
jujitsu guy too.
Jiu-jitsu
So he was
Marine is no fear. It's all just practical action.
Yeah, like you're taught to ignore that voice that's like, no, run.
Yeah.
Or like self-protect voice. You kind of go against it, right? So it's like what like cops, military people, like you're told, or even in like combat, you're told to ignore that voice and just act. Like, so yeah, that guy did that, and then all of a sudden now he's like facing like manslaughter charges and everything.
Well,
and
it's the system, dude. Right now, the justice system right now is really on its
dude,
head.
it's so fucked up. Just like as soon as like that New York City assault happened, dude, they showed the first photo, and then whoever the perpetrator is, they would show like the most innocent photo. And then for him, they showed him like his like Marine photo,
eyes black.
Yeah, I think they wanted it to make it seem like he was like a Travis Bickle, like like taxi driver, kind of like vigilante who just started attacking. Like, oh, he went too far.
Yeah, they make it seem like you want to kill. That's
100%.
That's their agenda. And
dude,
like, hey man, we're just here defending this whole country we all live in.
Well, dude, I mean, it's like who wasn't really protesting that? Like, if you actually live in New York, dude, you see that shit so much that you're like, dude, I wish somebody would step in. And I've seen it, dude, where like I had a woman one time come and sit next to me, and she's like, "Can you just pretend like you know me?" Because this, yeah, no, I mean, because she had told me that a guy she had caught in the back, like seeing a guy was like following her for like the last couple of train stops. And then finally she got off. So she had gotten off on a train and he got off at the same time, realized it. Then she got on the train, saw the guy get on, and she sat next to me and she was just like, "Can you just pretend like we know each other?" I was like, "Huh? Yeah. And she's like, "Sorry, I think that guy's following me and stuff." So I was like, "Okay, what's your train stop?" She's like, "I'm just going to get off here and stuff." I said, "Okay, yeah, I'll get off with you and everything." So I did. Just because it's like people who live in New York, they get that feeling and they get that sense. And yes, dude, things do happen, dude. Like there was a guy in New York who followed a woman back to her apartment. And the problem is that if you're not aware of it, you open the front door to your apartment, it swings open. That's why you always shut it, because you never know if someone's trying to wait to jump in. So, dude, yeah, there was a story where a girl did that. She was coming home drunk, left the apartment door wide open, guy snuck in, and that was it. They never found her after that. So, but they knew that guy did it, and they eventually caught him. But
that's the other thing that's crazy too, is they know all these people. Like, whatever time period that they closed all like the mental hospitals and the insane asylums and stuff, and then they just let all those people onto the street. And it happened to my sister too. When she graduated high school, she went to school for like hair and makeup.
Yeah.
And she was working at a place in Boston, like a nice high end like a makeup store. And she would take the train into the city. And she told me one day she was like coming up from the subway, and she got onto the street. This homeless guy was just walking around like swinging his fists, and he was saying out loud, "I'm gonna punch you in the face."
Jesus
to nobody,
Christ,
just like
dude.
to the air. And she said that they made eye contact, and that he came over and he punched her.
No.
He punched my sister right in the side of the neck, and she went down. She had to go to the hospital. And
what? How did she get out of it? Like,
it was just that he punched her and then he kind of took off.
Oh, thank God.
He wasn't trying. Thankfully, he wasn't like assaulting her.
Exactly. Like, I'm like, did
insanity. And it was like in midday, so there's people on the street. Everybody kind of saw it happen, and so he got arrested, but then the police let him go. They were like, "Oh, he's known for this," and they're like, "This isn't
dude, that is insane.
Like enough of a charge to put him behind
Are
bars."
you kidding me? Like he could kill someone. Like what if
that's what it takes.
She fell. What if you get knocked out, dude? Your head hits the concrete. You're dead. Like that happens a lot.
Then he goes to jail. So they wait for that to happen.
No, it's insane.
It is.
The fact that somebody could be out there assaulting people, not have any real consequences. I mean, they give you a misdemeanor ticket, like disturbing the peace or like battery charges. Like that's insane.
They wipe their ass with it. They don't care.
Oh yeah, like what if you're a homeless guy? Like you're threatened with jail. Like,
you're like, thank you.
You're like, good. Yeah, you get me off the street. I eat food and I can shower for a couple days. That doesn't do anything to deter it. No, I'm telling you, man. I've seen it a lot. What's the one thing is like, I saw this like little documentary on YouTube where it was like these like infographic, and the title of this video was like, you guys could probably search. It was like the worst prison in America, and I thought it was the United States, but they were talking about just the Americas in general. And it was El Salvador. Have you seen what that guy's doing over there?
Was it the one with the pool?
Bukele or what? That the new president of El Salvador. Like he basically
he shaved everybody's heads and put them on.
Dude, how that guy's such a badass, dude. I freaking love that guy because it's like everyone in Central and South America and even in Mexico wishes that guy was their president because he declared war on all of the gangs because El Salvador had the highest murder rate, I think, in the world at that point, where it's like, and the amount of unsolved murders was higher even than Mexico and Brazil's.
Damn.
So that guy, Bukele, like when he got elected, I think I'm saying his name right, he basically was like, I'm going to triple the size of the military immediately, pay people way more than they've ever been paid, so that way they're not lured. And if I find out that anybody in the military has been compromised, like they're immediately going to prison. Like if you take that oath, it's almost like you're in the military, right? You have more severe consequences if you break certain laws, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So like you don't get like a slap on the wrist, like you get actual jail time, whereas like a civilian would get a slap on the wrist, right? So like over there, he was like, if you're caught, you're immediately doing like 15 years in prison, like guilty. That's the minimum. So everyone who's in the military, they're like, I'm not gonna do it. Yeah. And he basically started doing full raids, and anybody who had tattoos, gang tattoos, immediately arrested off the streets. And he would just take everyone in, and he built that super prison, dude. Have you seen that super prison?
So a little bit, not a lot, but I've seen some photos and videos.
Yeah, they said, okay, so it's like 8 football fields.
Whoa.
Big. It's a fortress, dude. Like not even Arkham Asylum comes to this. And he has like, I think it's 4 walls of layers. So like you can't jump on, like you're never going to, even if you get through 2 layers, like there's enough alarms, there's enough.
Halfway there.
So you're halfway there, right? And I think each wall is separated by like 20 yards. So it's a lot of ground to cover. And then in that giant prison, it's all concrete. There's no individual cells. Like there's just giant sectors.
Whoa.
Dude, you have to see it. And then they shave. They shave everyone.
That's what I've seen is them everybody shaved and like sitting down, lined up.
They shave everyone. They have the lights on 24/7.
That's tough. Abu Ghraib style.
Dude, lights are on 24/7, giant fluorescent lights. But he took, and here's the thing, he took the murder rate to now El Salvador is the safest country in all of Latin America.
Wow. And that's all it takes. It seems so obvious, and then nobody wants to do it.
Well, nobody wants to do it because there's so much money, and he was just straight up like, no, I'm going to put these people all away. If they're gang affiliated, any gangs are going to be wiped out clean. And it's so funny. So this YouTube channel that did this documentary, they were talking about the emphasis on like how it violates human rights and like blah, blah, blah. And dude, they made the dumbest example. They're like, if we compare it to Norway's prison system, you're like, dude, you cannot compare Central and South America to white, like nice, like reconditioning prisons in the Netherlands, dude.
Yeah, not even close.
Are you kidding me? Like, you're not even talking about the same degree of criminal. That's why, like, when you get people who are like way too progressive, I'm like, dude, you have to have some common sense. Like, come back down to reality. Like, someone in Norway, like, they don't have the highest murder capital in the world.
Yeah, they're
like, like you're talking about a place that literally will just like, if somebody doesn't pay a gang to like their tax, right? Like they basically they extort small businesses. Mm-hmm. They come in, they don't just kill you, they kill like your whole family. So like they kill the business owner, they kill his wife, they kill his kids, they kill his grandparents. Like, so it's like over there, it's like you compare that to like Norway where they have
ultra violence.
Yeah, in Norway they have like 1 stabbing a year.
Yeah,
and obviously most people who commit crimes there, it's like very like light. Yeah, it's like stealing or something like that. So I just remember seeing in the comments, dude, everyone is like, I'm from El Salvador. This guy's been a godsend. Like, my family's, I can visit my grandma now without being kidnapped. Like, and like all the comments there were just saying like how you guys are so tone deaf.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing where it's like anybody who's in that system to where if you're living in El Salvador, everyone is so happy that this guy, but it's everyone else saying they're like, oh, it's going too far. And it's like, dude.
Yeah, they don't have a frame of reference.
No, that's what I mean. And like everyone in Mexico is like, I wish that guy was our president because he just doesn't give a shit, dude. It's like, and that's what you need. You need to have that threat of like, oh, I join a gang, I can go to jail for 25 years immediately, like no questions asked. Like,
Yeah, serious repercussions.
dude, yeah. Like what happened to your sister? Like in New York, you see on the news, dude, there was like 4 stories where like random women were getting punched. It was going viral on TikTok too.
Yeah, nothing. They're just like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
My dad wanted to kill that guy.
Dude, are you kidding
And
me?
I was like, Dad, we can't. He's like, what if we kidnap him and bring him to Rhode Island?
I'm pretty sure murder's illegal there too, Dad.
Well, he was like, he wanted him out of the area. He was like, oh, if my sister, is going to the city and this guy's in the same neighborhood still.
Oh, dude.
But I don't know. Like, eventually I heard that guy did go to jail, but he had to assault like more people.
That's crazy.
It is. Brian, I think that's a lovely ending.
Yeah, dude. Let's do it. We talked about just like pure violence and kidnapping and everything.
Yeah.
We have to, dude. That's
yeah.
what's fun, man. And bombing, the worst part of it. Thanks for having me on, dude.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it too.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah. Cheers.
All right, man. Let's head out.